Testing, testing. How are we doing? I also want to make sure that I'm not terribly loud. Hello, hello, testing 1 2 3. I felt a sneeze coming on, but hey, it didn't happen. Oh, okay. Yeah, very unusual timing. Welcome to a special somewhat late night edition of the Dark Spider Cast on a Friday night. I know, very peculiar, but that can only mean one thing: house is vacated. Parents went out of town. My mom wanted to go to this thing in Vegas. Yes, my parents actually went to Vegas. But not for. It's funny because when you think of parents going to Vegas, you think it's gonna be like a vacational type of thing, but not really. It's a church-related thing that just happens to be taking place in Vegas. Ironic, I know. And my mom wanted to go, and so her and my dad went, and they'll be back tomorrow. So figured, all right. As soon as that news was broken to me, I was like, yeah, for sure. I've been meaning to stream for a little while. Thanks to the good folks over at Inart and LPZZ, they gave us some good eatins in regards to content to react to live on stream. JM Herrera, welcome. GS9551, welcome. I'll give it a couple of more minutes for people to drop on by. And I thought of myself also, Friday night's kind of perfect. People are out of school. I very rarely stream at this time. And I know that it's funny because streaming earlier in the day, it's one of those strange things because usually when I stream, it's usually in the afternoon. It's usually either on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So it could work in my favor streaming on a Friday night because more people are free. But likewise, more people are free to go and do other things. Case in point, one of the reasons for why because part of my brain obviously is to tell the girlfriend like, hey, house is alone. But this time I actually had an out of not doing that, and that's because she is actually out with her girlfriends. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Queen Mary, and in Queen Mary Dark Harbor, I believe Queen Mary's Dark Harbor extravaganza type thing. Basically, the Queen Mary, if you guys don't know, it's like a haunted ship or whatever that's like over there in Newport, or I'm sorry, no, not Newport, Long Beach, not Newport Beach, Long Beach. I get my bitches confused here in Southern California. But she bought tickets for that a good, like, I think last month with her and her girlfriends, and today was that day. So I was like, well, I'm sorry that the parents decided to leave and get out of town the same day that you also went out of town to go and check that out. But at the same time, I told myself, you know what, guys, it's boys' night. It is boys' night. It's time to live stream, talk to you guys, and then probably, depending on how I'm doing energy-wise, since there's still not going to be anybody here until tomorrow, I figured, you know what? I might squeeze in 1 or 2 videos to put in the can before going to bed tonight. So I might be doing that. Bones, welcome. Hello, very late stream for me. Damn. What time is it over there, Bones? I think I remember you saying that you live in the UK, which if it is, I'm sorry. See, like I said, there's so many, and that's another thing that I really want to, really analyze and break down is to see exactly how the performance of tonight's stream does, because I see sometimes the streamers that I watch go live, Gamer2323, sometimes he goes live, he's from the East Coast, and he sometimes goes live like around 3 or 4. 3:30 a.m. Yeah, it's the UK. I'm so sorry, man. Don't feel obligated to stay here if you can't. But like you said, you have a shitty sleep schedule, and one of the things that I'm hoping is an advantage is the fact that it's a Friday night. We're going into the weekend, so maybe some of you don't really have to work. So I'll play it by ear. I'll play it by ear to see exactly how things fluctuate here in terms of views, in terms of people chatting, just to see if people prefer to do to chime in on the stream either when it happens here late at night or when it happens during the afternoon, which, to be honest, until my living situation sort of changes up, it's probably going to stay in the afternoon. Like I said, the only reason for why I'm streaming so late tonight is because I actually have the house to myself. There's nobody here. I even have the door open, as you can see, kind of like the frame right here. That way it doesn't get goddamn hot in here like it typically does. Hugo's Nerdy Stuff, welcome. And like I said, earlier this week, well, actually not so much earlier this week because I already knew this knowledge ahead of time. But I think it was last week, there was a part of me that went to stream, but there wasn't really a whole lot going on to really talk about. And then finally, it was at the end of last week that I remembered, oh yeah, a little something called WonderFest over in Shanghai, China is going down. And some of these, I don't even really want to call them third parties, even though there were some third party presence at WonderFest. But when it came to like some of the companies that were all putting our gazes on and kind of observing really closely to see exactly what they can do in the 112 scale community, LPZZ slash UP Find Yours, their new name, UP Find Yours, and Inart were scheduled to be showing up at that event. And so we're going to be talking about the stuff that they showcased, which is, for lack of a better term, glorious. But a couple of things before we get to that, because I know that, like I said, I want to give it a few minutes to see exactly if more and more people are going to be chiming in, since we are tackling a different time slot than I'm typically used to. It's fine. I'll probably be up anyway. I'm used to watching Kaiju Daddy streams late like this, so I've been conditioned to it. Yeah, every so often he pops up on my feed. I just haven't really properly like set down. I like his logo though. I really do. Yeah, and then JM Herrera, if you're still watching, about literally 30 minutes ago, I was out and about for like a good few hours because I needed to go to storage to grab some things that I'm probably going to be unboxing right now real quick, only so I can get them out of the way to prepare for a video that I might film a little bit later this evening to take advantage of, like I said, the house being vacated right now and having the opportunity to do so. But while I was out going to storage, I also stopped by a local comic book shop that, I gotta be brutally honest, where I live, I never really thought personally I had comic book stores. I genuinely didn't. I thought that was something that I would have to go out of my ways to go more into the populated, much more busier, business-driven areas that have comic book stores and collectible stores and things like that. Only for me to find out that there was actually one that still requires a little bit of a drive, a good like 30-35 minutes, but at least it's still within a doable distance. And sometimes that amount of time of driving, it's not so much of the distance, but it is about traffic. Anyways, got there, and the reason for why I went to this place up here in the high desert is so that I can finally pick up, see if you can see it right there, Batman #2. So I don't know how much I've told you guys now, but I'm kind of trying to ease myself back into comic book reading. And after recently finding out, thanks to James Herrera, that that Batman pretty much restarted this year in 2025 with a new #1, written by Matt Fraction and illustrated or sketched or penciled. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but designed by Jorge Jimenez, who's actually been doing an awful lot of stuff for Batman over the years. I mean, he's responsible for the a couple of like some of the more recent Batman designs. But yeah, Jorge Jimenez, he's been doing an awful lot of stuff, and so right now he's pretty much in charge of this look for Batman that, I gotta be honest, I am growing to like. In terms of like the actual design of the suit, I've actually liked it from the very get-go, but the only thing that I wasn't sure I was 100% sold on was the blue of the suit. But after reading issue #1, it grew on me to the point where maybe, just maybe, after a couple more issues, or maybe after this one, that symbol, that specific symbol that Batman's got going on, I might actually go on a hunt to see if I could find a shirt with that symbol on. I actually would not mind wearing a shirt with that specific blue symbol on that specific beigey kind of gray. It's a very peculiar hue of gray that he's got on his suit this time around. It's not like full-blown DC Rebirth gray, but rather like a muddier gray, if that makes any kind of sense. So seeing the two colors kind of clash with that, like I said, Jorge Jimenez art style and the little bit of mustard yellow on his utility belt, it's actually pretty nice. And then we got this new design of Robin right here with the little fuckboy hair that he's got going on a little bit right here. But anyways, this is the new cover for issue #2. I read number 1, and I did like it. I did like it quite a bit, and there's enough like nuggets of little interesting things and little twists on things that we know, while at the same time also getting this vibe that feels kind of old school in it that I genuinely do enjoy. But what I also will criticize a little bit, that I kind of mentioned to J.M. Herrera over on in a comment exchange, was that at times it is inside of that comic, which honestly, and this is a criticism not just to that issue number 1, but frankly to all modern comics. I'm sorry, and I know that this is a very this is a complaint that's gonna fall on deaf ears. I know that this is something that's not going to change, but I sincerely don't know how comfortable I feel that these things are going for roughly between $5 to $6, and yet the last like 3 or 4 pages are ads in the comic. And to be fair across the board, the last page is also an interview with Matt Fraction. I'm almost willing to bet that issue number 1 had an interview with Matt Fraction there at the end, taking up a whole page. I'm willing to put down money. I haven't opened it. I'm not going to spoil myself here. I'm almost willing to put money that the interview in question inside of issue number 2 is probably going to be on Jorge Jimenez. They're probably going to take up a whole page to interview Jorge Jimenez. I'm sorry. I know that this is going to sound very boomer of me, a sign of me getting old. I don't know how I feel about the fact that I'm paying somewhere between $5 to $6, and there I am reading number 1, Batman number 1, thinking to myself, I'm actually quite enjoying it. We get a full page illustration of something, and I'm like, ooh, but then I see something that, even though I'm not the biggest comic book reader, I do know my little like rules of engagement with the comic, and I do know for the majority of the time, not all the time, but for the majority of the time when you're reading a superhero comic of any kind, whether it be Marvel or DC, when a page ends with the logo of that superhero, that's usually your cue that, congratulations, you just finished it. And I'm like, I still have a few pages, and then I look, and it's literally like, one is a preview of what's coming up. The other one is, like I said, that interview about Matt Fraction. But then sandwiched in between is like previews and ads for the Peacemaker show on HBO Max, for a different the DCKO series, a couple of other stuff. Sign up for the digital version of comic reading, that comic book service that DC's got, the DC Universe app or whatever, to sign up for that. And I don't know, I'm sorry, but that's the equivalent of signing up for an ad, it's like we got, that's like the equivalent of signing up for Max or Disney Plus, but you get the ad version. And there you are watching the show, and there you get the ads. Or you're on YouTube, and you pay YouTube Premium, but then the majority of the people that you're subscribed to have a baked-in ad into their video, and I'm like, oh, shit, all right, now we got this going on. So it bugs me, but at least I know now that, and like I said, that's not a very specific thing to Batman number 1. That's more so like a very general thing for modern comic books as it is. It's just something that I'm gonna have to accept. But in terms of an actual legitimate criticism that I have towards Batman number 1 was that it was a little soft. No spoilers, because I'm actually planning on making a video tomorrow after I read Batman number 2. I'm thinking about doing a very quick video. I don't really intend on this video taking up too much time. I really do want it to be like 15-20 minutes, no more than 20 minutes, where I do reviews of Batman number 1 and Batman number 2 here that just came out this past Wednesday, and serve those reviews as a form of giving my perspective of what it's like to jump back into Batman comics in 2025 if either you haven't been reading comics for a while, or you never read comics period, and you've always liked Batman as a character in terms of like the games, the movies, the action figures, but you've never really felt a strong connection to the actual source material, which is the comics. And now with Batman number 1 starting over here in 2025 with this arc, is this now a good time to jump in? And so that's the topic of the video that I'm probably going to be making tomorrow, because obviously tonight I need to read Batman number 2 to see where we're at here. And what I'm thinking about doing in that video is that at least like the first 5-ish minutes, do like a spoiler-free version of the reviews for those 2 issues, which shouldn't take too much time because, like I said, they're comics. I don't know how much I can really talk about without going into spoilers. And then probably in like the middle third, take up the majority of spoilers to break down exactly what I'm liking about Batman, what I'm liking and not liking about Batman 2025 right now, and then to hammer home the point about whether or not you should, you should do what I'm doing, which is to go back into the source of like comic book reading with Batman #1 or Batman 2025 right now, since I'm pretty certain that there's other people right now who are like, yeah, I'm a Batman fan, but that's only because of the movies or the games. Should I get into the comics? Because I'm wondering the same thing. There's probably a good chunk of other people that are wondering the same thing as well. So I thought to myself, that would be a good topic for a video, so I might be filming that tomorrow once I get Batman #2 read. Tonight, though, there were a couple of like there was this video that I wanted to do tackling since I'm kind of on an Arkham Knight kick, because right now I'm putting the finishing touches on a script for a 10-year retrospective on Batman Arkham Knight, the game. I don't know if any of you are have played Arkham Knight or like that game, but this year marks the 10-year anniversary. Officially, the 10-year anniversary was back in June. I missed it because I got way too busy, and I know that Batman Arkham Knight, the game, is a very chunky game. It's much longer than its predecessors. It takes like 15 hours just to beat the main story, and then probably double or almost triple that to do the main story and a bulk of the side content. And I tackled it in a very different way that I've never done before, to see how certain things played out in a differently paced way, to look back at the game and what aged well and what didn't 10 years looking back. And I'm actually still, like I said, in the midst of putting the finishing touches, and I think tonight I might be playing the game for the final time. I've already beaten the story. I've technically beaten all of the main villain side quests inside of Gotham before activating the you-know-what, except for, obviously, Riddler, because, you're never going to be able to apprehend him without doing all 200 and something goddamn riddles, and it's one of those things that I will definitely be exploring in the video, but I gotta be honest, I'm in the point of my life where I cannot be spending that amount of time doing all those riddles. Like, that's the kind of thing that a high schooler does, where they're in between classes, in either late high school where they're about to graduate or early college. They either have a part-time job, or they have no job, and then that's how they take up their time, is to be like, let me see how I can 100% Arkham Knight. Once you're in their mid-30s and you got bills to pay, you have a girlfriend who's planting very strong, who's giving really strong indications that she may or may not want a kid, it's like, I don't have time to be hunting down all these Riddler trophies in a game like Arkham Knight. So at a point, you're kind of like, I think it's time to move on. The only thing I do want to do, though, that I didn't do 10 years ago, was do the Most Wanted, Gotham's Most Wanted DLC missions. I legit never did that back in the day. So earlier today, I did 2 of the 4, because it's only 4. I did 2 of them, and I'm going to do the other 2 tonight, and then finally activate that thingy. Because the only other stuff to do in the city, besides the main villain side quests, is, like I said, the towers, the checkpoints, the APCs, the stuff that has, like, way too many of them to do to finish off the quest that I'm like, I ain't doing all this. And then, of course, at the very end, the goddamn Riddler trophies. And I'm like, yeah, it's too numeric, it's too quantifiable, that I'm like, I gotta move on. I gotta, and I think tonight might be it. Which makes it a perfect night to then, like I said, finalize that script. And I don't think tomorrow, because after I'm done making that comic book video, I actually got plans with the girlfriend. She has a surprise for me, even though I might have an idea what it is. But she has a surprise for me that takes place at the Honda Center down in Anaheim, California. So it's practically, once I leave in the afternoon tomorrow, that's it for the day, you know what I mean? It's like kind of a like all-day thing tomorrow. But then Sunday I'm free, and I'm thinking Sunday's when I'm finally going to film my Arkham Knight 10-year retrospective. So I got videos to film for the next 3 days. Tonight I might make a Hot Toys related video. that also has to do with the Arkham games. I'm going to film that tonight. Tomorrow, like I said, my video on Batman number 1 and number 2, and whether or not it's a good time to jump into Batman comics. And then Sunday, the Arkham Knight retrospective. And the reason for why I'm planning those specific videos right now is because I'm currently still waiting for shit to ship. For shit to ship. All across the board, whether it be domestic in regards to McFarlane toys, even a little Marvel Legends in there, or shit from overseas, or if I could even ship shit from overseas. Let me, check out some of these comments in the chat before I go into this little mini rant, which will then, believe it or not, segue into my first topic of the night. This was technically on the docket before we tackle the Inart and UPF stuff over at WonderFest. Rip DC Mayfix, Anonymous Throne, welcome to the stream, and I think it's a little too early to tell her to say rip, but I'm also not ruling it out. The cover is so pretty, the artist work is very pretty. I need to grab those comics at some point. I remember I saw a Jim Lee drawn variant of Batman number 2 that, I'm not gonna lie, actually looked a little better, even though this one looks nice. Even though this one looks nice as well, and it's technically an homage to a certain panel that was in Batman number 1, there was a Jim Lee variant of Batman number 2 that I saw on the internet, I think either earlier today or I think it was maybe yesterday, that I thought of myself, I was looking at and going, if I see that at the store, I actually might get that one instead of the default. Obviously, because I got the default one, means that when I went to that store, I saw a good amount of this guy, but I didn't see any of the other covers. I saw a couple of other Batman comics, but they weren't the Batman 2025 proper. It was like and it definitely wasn't Batman and Deadpool. It was something else. I can't remember the name, but it was something else. A surprise? Well, Bones, think about it. Honda Center, so it's got to be like an event, like a presentational kind of event, and it's something that I would like. Like I said, I think I have an idea because I was trying to look up the distance between the Honda Center and this one other place I wanted to check out before the event. And unfortunately, when I did that Google search, of course, because Google's Google, it had this little section where it says upcoming events, and it showed like a couple of like sports matches or whatever. But then I saw a name of a musical composer, and I'm like, oh, I think that's what it was. Shit. And I do love this musical composer. And let's just say that this musical composer has a history with Batman. So it's still topical. It's still relevant to what we're talking about here in the live stream. So I was like, God damn it, I think I just spoiled myself what the surprise was. Damn it. But it's the internet. And in my defense, she actually did not want to tell me the location of where this event took place, and it was literally her who let it slip that it was at the Honda Center a couple of days ago. Up until that day, it wouldn't tell me where it was. She just told me the date and the time, just so that we can, not be late, and that's it. And she's like, I'm not telling you anything else. But it was literally the other day that we were going over like parking and where we were going to park and how much it was going to be and whether or not we should Uber from the parking spot to the location. And it was literally her who was like, we're going to have to like, it's such short notice that any of the nearby parking spots are taken up. So I'm going to choose somewhere that is a little bit cheaper, but we are going to have to Uber from the parking spot to the Honda Center. And I'm like, the Honda Center? And she looked at me like, fuck. She said it. It was her. I was like, I'm sorry. I wouldn't have known that it was at the Honda Center if it wasn't for her. It was literally her. I never poked and prodded. She's gotta keep her ducks in a row up here to make sure she doesn't let it slip. Yeah, Jam Herrera. I'm warming up to the suit to the point where I'm like, and I to the point where I'm almost kind of convinced that There's no way that McFarlane is not at least R&Ding the figure right now. I want to say they're R&Ding both 2025. They're looking at the stats right now with what's selling. Let me put it to you this way. Didn't Batman #1 set like records for selling out? Do you honestly think that McFarlane didn't look at that and go, I gotta make that figure. I gotta make that the figure of the cover. Like, how is he not? Even take creative out of the equation. Business-wise, how do you not make a figure? So he's making a figure. I'm gonna call it right now. He's making a Matt Fraction Jorge Jimenez 2025 Batman. Welcome to the stream, Maurice Phillips. Philip, sorry, no, not Pearl. The question then becomes, is it going to be a mostly brand new figure, or is he simply going to take the Nightfall buck again and decorate it out like that? Because I got to be honest, the more I look at his physique inside of this new series, design-wise, from Jorge Jimenez, I'm sorry, but I can't not see the Nightfall buck being used again and being repainted. Or maybe the Rebirth body, either the Rebirth body or the Nightfall body. So I'm calling it. So is a figure happening? Yes. Is it going to be a brand new figure and not a repaint? I unfortunately don't think so. I honestly do think that it's either going to be the Nightfall buck or the Rebirth buck, because from a pragmatic standpoint, if you're losing the license in about 8 months, 9 months, 9 months, let's say 9 months, because it's supposed to be like, what, July of next year? Are you really going to spend all that amount of money on a figure with that physique while you have a different team saying, hey, we're going to have to sculpt out more plastic for a potential absolute Batman figure? Especially after you already have competitors overseas saying, hey, you guys have been quiet on that absolute Batman. Well, look what we're doing. We'll get to that. Again, I don't want to spoil, because I actually do have a little bit of a mini rant that does connect to our first topic here in relation to McFarlane toys. Armchair Troop. Oh my god, dude. First of all, welcome to the stream. Second of all, you took the words right out of my mouth. James Herrera, another little nitpick I have. I kind of wish that they would have gotten, without, like I said, going into spoilers, really wish that they would have gotten a little bit more creative with the Batmobile, because it truly is the Pattinson Batmobile, just with blue accents and the blue symbols on the rims. But otherwise, it's the Pattinson Batmobile. I was like, to the point where if anyone's got a spare Pattinson Batmobile and they're very handy with like custom jobs, they should do a custom job to make it into the new Matt Fraction Batmobile. Definitely an easy figure for them to make a slap it on a Nightfall bug. New belt and head done. Slap it up for sale. Yeah. I really, really wish it was a brand new figure, but like I said, from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Especially if you're going to need to put some of that plastic allocation in terms of the budget into possibly making an absolute Batman figure if you're going to be competing. Especially since now you got a nudge from overseas. But in regards to McFarlane Toys, the reason for why I told you guys a few of my weekend plans here for the content that I'm going to be making, some of which involves Hot Toys figures. In fact, let me give you, actually, I think I can grab it. Sorry, I bumped the mic a little bit. I already have it right here. Poor boy. Speaking of Arkham Knight, a lot of Arkham Knight goodness happening right now. Hot Toys Arkham Knight Batman. Pulled him out of the dead. I'm sorry, the storage. Because I'm planning on making a video. It's not really a review because, like I said, these figures are a little bit on the older side. In fact, it's because they're on the older side that the video I might be making tonight is pretty much like, you know, spoilers for the video. You guys are getting a sneak peek into my topic development stage of pre-production. Is that instead of doing individual reviews for this guy, since they're already kind of old and people, you know, they're not looking for reviews like that, I feel like now, especially with the 10-year anniversary of Arkham Knight, oh my god, look at this. Look at this. I probably should also mention, and I'll mention it in the video, I did buy this guy secondhand. There is a problem with the cuff, the thing that's holding the ball joint, the dumbbell joint down here at the bottom, that's causing this. But anyways, basically the topic of the video that I might be making tonight, since I'm already ready, I don't really need to do like research. I already know how I feel about these figures and what direction I want to take the video in. I basically want to make a video about why it's probably a perfect time right now in the age of remasters and 2.0s and revisits. Hot Toys should probably be revisiting the Arkham series. Not just Arkham Knight, but the Arkham series. So Arkham Knight Batman himself here, I honestly think, especially after what LPZZ did, Hot Toys, come on, you guys are the industry standard in the 1/6. You guys need to be doing more with this guy, because, I mean, look at this. And I'm not talking about those goddamn repaints, like the Futura and the Prestige and all that stuff. No. Or the recent XC suit one. No. Redo the suit. Redo Arkham Knight Batman here. He's not the only one that might need a 2.0, though. I just bumped the mic in the desk. My bad. Big Rib, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Out of storage, I also pulled this out, and I'm going to be featuring it in the video. Arkham City Batman. Let me see if I can pull it out now. I believe I also bought this guy secondhand. It's funny. I actually had him ordered on Sideshow literally like, I think about now 10 years ago. And at the time, I was working in fast food for sure. I think it was at Popeyes. I think I was working at Popeyes. And right when I ordered it, or around the vicinity that it was about to ship, I think, I got laid off. And because of that, I was like, I can't afford this, and I canceled. And I remember being hurt about that. So fast forward like almost a decade, and sure enough, with the money working retail at Best Buy, and I was in a good place where I was like, you know what, I got some expendable income. I went on, I can't remember if it was either Mercari or eBay. I can't remember. But somebody was selling theirs, and so I picked up their Arkham City Batman. There he is. And I gotta be honest, even though I firmly do believe that he needs a 2.0, there's a lot of things that feel quite antiquated here with what Hot Toys used to do. Right now, off the top of my head, I think he actually might be a little bit better than the Arkham Knight one, which is pretty ironic. Look at that. Spencer Brower, welcome to the stream. I don't know what you said. It got pulled back. Yeah, Bones, I'm sorry, but it's going to happen. I've been getting some too. Not just on YouTube, but on other social media platforms. But, yeah. Oh, is that true, Big Rib? I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to, sell McFarlane's just yet, but, yeah, I'm keeping in touch with as much of the LPZZ stuff from, the people who work on the figures and what information they're relaying and all that stuff to see exactly what's coming down the pipeline. Speaking of which, I'm starting to I don't know anything. But in terms of just what's been shown from, toy photographers and reviewers and things like that, it's starting to look like we're probably maybe somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks away. I almost want to say by the end of this month, October, we might be seeing the release of Arkham Knight Deathstroke. Because to me, one of the signs that a figure is set to release in the 1/12 scale, or honestly any scale for that matter, is when the box has already been manufactured. and you already got the box ready to go. And then you have, like I said, toy reviewers that are already getting units to review. Justin from Justin's Collectibles, who typically reviews 1/6, so it's kind of interesting that he's now doing 1/12. I guess that's how dry the market is right now. But he did a review of the Arkham Knight Deathstroke. So it's already being sent out. So I have a pre-order through Toys Metaverse. So we'll see exactly what happens there. But yeah, tonight I'm going to be making a revisit video, or a video that has a topic about how Hot Toys should probably be revisiting the Arkham figures. DT Warrior, welcome to the stream. And so I'm going to be using the Arkham Knight and the Arkham City Batmans to kind of illustrate that point. So there's that guy. Fun fact, I actually filmed a review of this guy, I want to say like 2 years ago, and I put it in one of my hard drives. And I didn't lose it. I know where it's at. But so much shit has come out that it got in the way of me ever editing that video, and I never edited it. Here we are 2 years later. I can literally dig up that raw footage. It was back with my older light box and my older camera from like 2022, I want to say. Or maybe 2023, somewhere around there. And I never got a chance to fully edit it, because right when every time that I wanted to sit down and edit that review, there were new McFarlane's coming out, there were new stuff coming out, and I had to pivot to like the harder stuff. All right, so real quick, let me get the accessories out. And again, I'm going to be doing this Hot Toys video tonight, later on, when I get my voice back. You know, my voice has some resting time, and I get re-energized. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a video on the comic books that have been coming out from the 2025 Matt Fraction series. And then Sunday, I'm going to be finally filming my 10-year retrospective on the actual video game that we've been talking about, Batman Arkham Knight. And the reason for why I'm doing so much stuff that has very little to do with McFarlane figures is because, where you at, McFarlane? Where you at? What's going on? Because I have, like, I think 4 orders on pre-order awaiting fulfillment, and yet we got motherfuckers receiving theirs through an online order, even though I pre-ordered the morning of. Or you have motherfuckers, some of which don't necessarily deserve it, finding them in stores. I think some of you already know exactly what I'm talking about. And some of you are probably able to tell that I'm a little annoyed with that whole notion. Because in terms of what I have on pre-order right now, I have 2 orders that were dictated to be McFarlane Toy Store's exclusive, which is the DC Rebirth Batmobile and Batman 2-pack, and the Batman with Mobius chair figure. Collector's edition. Both of those figures were labeled as McFarlane Toy Store exclusives. I'm sorry if I'm getting a little presumptuous, but generally McFarlane Toy Store exclusive figures should not take that long to ship, because you're only making a certain amount, a set stock amount, because you're only selling it on your site. So, the Mobius chair, I can maybe sort of excuse, but apparently the DC Rebirth Batmobile is not only already in stock on the site, but some people have already been receiving their units of the Batmobile. Shipped directly to them. And then on top of that, not too long ago, I can't remember their username, but somebody on Instagram posted, a thing saying mail call, And it was the DC Rebirth Batmobile and the Batman 2-pack that I ordered. Let me show you guys, in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about here, real quick. DC Multiverse. Oh, perfect. Excuse me. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about here. And like I said, this is officially the first topic of the night before we get into the the WonderFest stuff. Where is... Here we are. Here we are. Let me actually maximize this a little bit in terms of size. Let me transition. This guy. Already in stock. Add to cart. Fully in stock. So if I wanted to order one right now and get it shipped before the pre-order that I'm still waiting on, I could. But that's not the point. The point is that I have on pre-order this guy. And on top of that, I have it on an even bigger discount than this because I used I think a $10 certificate. I used something on it. I can't remember what it was. But anyways, it was and this guy says pre-order, and you're saying, David, pre-order ships November. We're still, we just barely entered October, so it's still got time. To cover their ass, yes, they still got time. But it still reads really weird to me as a collector, as a consumer, when I woke up early that morning to put down this pre-order thinking that it was going to sell out. Minute one, maybe not minute one, like the first 5 minutes of it going live, and I'm already seeing posts on social media of others getting there. So that's why I'm like, so where am I at? And the fact that it's still available for pre-order, so why did I wake up early that morning? You know what I mean? Like, it just reads weird to me. And I feel a little skirted. Conflict, I don't know if I said welcome to you, but welcome to stream. I would pay for a blue version of the McFarlane Batmobile. What do you mean by a blue version? Of which one? I'm trying to collect the entire team of the Darkest Knight, have the Batman Who Laughs, Dawnbreaker, and Devastator. Which ones were those again? Devastator is actually a figure that I've been wanting for a really long time, and every so often I find it at a collectible store. Sometimes the price is a little steep, and then other times I'm like, well, I don't think it's going to get any better than this, because it's a single DC Multiverse release, so MSRP was like, what? At the time, I think it was the flat 20, because this was back in 2021, but a lot of collectible stores will not sell it for anything cheaper than like $40, I want to say, and I'm like, it's a little steep. I'm on the fence with LPZZ with the AliExpress primary place of sale. No, yeah, DT Warrior, like Conflict said, I know Calkeys, I think Calkeys just recently did sell out on the Arkham Knight Batman. I think they still have Deathstroke available for pre-order. Somebody else, I think here said Gun Dammit is the best place to get LPZZ, but I think they're sold out. I hate to say it, DT Warrior, but I think we finally entered the stage where all of these major retailers that import stuff like LPZZs, they're practically mostly gone. So your best bet is going to be turning on notifications or alerts on platforms and sites like Mercari and, I hate to say it, eBay. And yes, that means you're going to have to be paying almost 1.5 to about twice as much of what it usually costs, which, it's usually the, I think MSRP is like, what, $70 for those LPZZs, which is a really good deal. But yeah, you are looking at somewhere as cheap as like 120 to maybe as costly as about 180. How badly do you want it? I'm sorry, man. Or pray that a good Samaritan lists one and they sell it at a reasonable price. Which could happen, but that's why you gotta turn on those notifications. PSP, welcome to the stream. I'd never played the PSP, but I really like the Vita. Random. In's Hobby still has pre-orders up. Oh, do they? The Batmobile they're making as well back in the spring. Oh, you're talking about that DC Rebirth one? The one that looks like half animated, half with the symbol on the front? Big Rib Bombasby. Bombasby is a little late to the party with my recent experience, but really good packaging to the point where they even got like the little plastic stuff on the corners to keep from dents happening, and I'm like, good looking out. So I would say right now, guys, if you have like a few bucks to spare, put down like that $5 NRD through Bombasby to either get Deathstroke or Batman Who Laughs, who recently went up for pre-order. What else? I think that's really about it. I think you could technically pre-order the Arkham Knight and the Catwoman, and I know that recent stuff that they showed probably is a good incentive to do so. But I know that for a little while, all you really had to go on was like prototype images. So up to you if you really want to do that. But going back to my little mini tangent, though, well, most of the time I wait for your videos for alerts. Oh, really? Did you? Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like to make this content, I'm waiting on stuff, and that's why I'm doing those 3 videos this specific weekend, because I'm still waiting on that DC Rebirth Batman. I'm still waiting on. Let me go back to this pre-order page, because it was actually just here that I saw it. This guy, which is labeled for October, Batman with the Mobius chair. Now, to be fair, no one has mentioned getting theirs in the shipped to them or delivered. So far, nobody on Reddit, nobody on Facebook has said that they gotten their Mobius chair. I think I saw a couple post photos of them like modding the Mobius chair to put like an LED light. But then after a quick dig into their profile, I noticed that they were Chinese based, and most of the time whenever I see that, that means that they're probably like next to the factory, and they're one of those people that get McFarlane figures like super early. We're talking like last month, the month before, because they got their hookup at the factory. You know what I mean? And speaking of hookups, not all of us have hookups either inside of the business or inside of the retailer. It's like some people have been able to do with for pre-order, or there's discounts, or links go live. Toy Shiz is a little bit more boots on the ground as far as like reporting when people send them photos. Like myself, I actually sometimes send him stuff to be like, hey, here in this specific part of the high desert, this store has this in stock. I'm not interested, but others may be, so I spread the word. And so he distributes that, and I like that he's looking out for that. Likewise, he let people know that some people have already been finding not only the Batman Returns wave, not only the Max Schreck chase in store at a Target, but also the Season 2 Peacemaker Deluxe Theatrical Edition, even though Peacemaker's not theatrical, it's a TV show, but I digress. So, I ask again, what the fuck was the point of me waking up that morning? I am starting to enter my unk, as the kids like to call it, the unk phase of this collecting stuff, of like putting out pre-orders, but then feeling a little ass-like going through all that trouble, only to then someone who doesn't put in that amount of work in terms of like the hunting and whatnot to then find them in store. I'm sorry, but it's just it's difficult to not feel frustrated about this sort of thing, especially when news breaks of this wave already making the rounds in Targets in Central California, no less. But certain people that conveniently end up finding them as well. And I'm not necessarily talking about whoever this is, whoever Toy Shiz is reporting here. Shout out to Spawn Toys 209 in Northern California. I looked up 209. It's not really northern, it's more like Central California. But I'm not talking about Spawn Toys 209, if you guys are thinking that. I'm talking about somebody else who I'm like, wow, as soon as this gets found, that other person finds it. How convenient. How convenient. It's almost like someone inside a Target, gets their palms greased and conveniently lets them know exactly where it shows up. Or somebody else is doing the actual hunting for them. How nice. Must be nice. It's not like you do the work by yourself. Whether it be with the hunting or with the actual video making. But it is what it is. So, regardless of my pre-order that I put down last month. That also includes the Penguin Commandos. I'm still waiting on mine, but somehow they made it to Target. Now, obviously, there's ways to explain away why it is that Target already has them in store. The easier answer to fall on, which there's no clear evidence to point to this, but it's the likelier answer, is the same reason for why the Doomslayer, the McFarlane Toys Elite Edition Doomslayer, was showing up so early at Walmart's a couple of months back before pre-orders were being fulfilled on other storefronts like Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store and etc. And that's because sometimes with these brick and mortar stores that are, at the end of the day, also departments like Walmart. So naturally, there's going to be shipping containers, those big metal ones that are on little shippers, cargo ships, the size of the ones that the military uses, that are literally, on the not the Pacific Ocean, not the Atlantic Ocean, but they're shipping from overseas in the Pacific Ocean that are carrying all of these things that Walmart needs to have in inventory. Like I said, clothes, food, sometimes guns. And then sandwiched in there just happens to be toys. And amongst those toy boxes happens to be some cases that are also manufactured in China that happen to be these fucking figures that were technically not slated until, best case, the end of this month, early next month. But somehow, some way, whoever the distributor, whoever manages the logistics for Walmart, or in this case, I should say Target, was like, oh, we got some space on the ship here, throw this in. And it happens to be that fucking McFarlane box. This is, again, pure speculation. There's a good chance that it happened, but can I confirm that it happened? No. Obviously, there's no way to confirm it. But that's probably the tinfoil hat theory that I'm willing to grab onto, is that that's what happened, and that's why California is amongst the first two. I think somebody might have reported that they found some of these figures a little more north up, like in Oregon or in Washington, maybe. I think earlier today on Instagram through Toyshiz, somebody reported finding them in Arizona. So we're going as far as Arizona. Yeah, actually, here we go. Let me see if I could hold it. I don't know if you guys can see it. I might have to transition back here so you guys can see it. Reported by Toyshiz, according to Camp Crystal Lake Collector, who I've seen pop up a couple of times on the social media posts, saying that he found the figures. He found the Batman Returns figures, along with the other figures that are also being found on at Targets. I believe it should be the next one here. Yep, here we go. Also being reported by Toyshiz. Oh, you guys can see it. Here we go. The other batch of pre-orders that went live the day before the Batman Returns wave, which is what I like to call the Mustache Batman, the Earth 2, I think it's the Earth 2 Batman, the Black Mask as Batman with that cool face, Batman Inc., which I gotta be honest is probably the first Batman figure that I look at and I go, I could pass on it. Maybe if I find it in store and it looks a little neater, I'll probably pick it up, but right now I'm not really fully convinced. And then, of course, more colored, differently colored Nightfall bucks. So the orange and the pink. Although, there's a part of me that kind of wants the rainbow Batman. The rainbow, because he's got all the colors, is the one that I look at and I go, I actually might want the rainbow colored one. So I've been skipping on all these different colored ones, like the green, the blue, the pink, the orange. I'm like, it's becoming too much. But the rainbow one actually has all the colors on there. So I'm like, I actually might want that guy. But also being found in Targets are these other three. And guess who else also has pre-orders for at least the Mustache Batman and the Black Mask as Batman skull-faced figure. Still waiting on them. But now they're being found at Targets. Like I said, it's difficult to not be falling into that unk phase of like, what the fuck? Why are people being able to find these things, and nothing's happening on this side over here? Especially when you live in a town like mine that barely gets any shit. Of all the Batman, you want the rainbow one? Yeah. Bones, what the hell? Rainbow Batman is a must, but then you put the nails. I'm not gonna say anything. CM Bronk, welcome to stream. You're not, technically you're not late. How long have I been? Holy shit, it's already been an hour. Borderline an hour, holy shit. Yeah, Jam Herrera, I'm a little weird on 5K toys. So far, the two that I gravitate towards that I'm like, I have good vibes about these sites is Toys Metaverse and Bumblebee. And Kalkis whenever they reach out and they want to send me something to review. Although I'm going to have to talk to Kalkis about something. That is if they're willing to talk, because I gotta be honest, I don't know if Kalki. I wonder if Kalki's by some chance was present at WF WonderFest Shanghai, because this past week they've been radio silent. Because I've been trying to get in touch with them, but they've been silent, and I'm like, I'm hoping that there's somebody just busy with WF 2025. Because if not, like, if you guys don't want to talk to me, just say that you guys want to not talk to me anymore. At least, you know, say something, you know. Be professional about it, that's all I'm saying. Okay, look, guys, I'm not joking. I messaged LPZZ official account. I asked if they're going to keep producing the Arkham Knight Batman, and they said no, but the next and last batch should release in Q4 of the year, so around the end of the month or November, but please don't tell anyone because I want to secure my copy, please. So where's that batch going to specifically, though? After seeing what Inart and LPZZ can do, I've given up on McFarlane, plus LPZZ is making Arkham Knight Batman. I did see that PSP. I'll talk about that. What's wrong with the nails? Nothing. That's just the fact that... Why did he use the nails emoji? Let me ask you that. Why did he use it? But I kid. Spencer Brower, it's funny that you say that you care about getting the Dark Knight's medal or Dark Knight's death medal, because those were the figures that you can find literally anywhere back in like 2021, 2022. It's the Dark Knight's medal series. Those were like peg warmers. And now, understandably, it being years since their release, you can't really find them. Well, you can't really find them in typical stores. I'm pretty sure if you go to like your nearest collectible store, you're probably gonna. In fact, the comic book store that I went to get Batman #2, bones, they had a couple of Dark Knight's metal figures up on the wall. I was like, all right, they're still here, and they were decently priced. I honestly think that they could have been cheaper because of how long and how overproduced they were, but they also weren't like bank breaking. RS, welcome to the stream. I got the Inart 112 Dark Knight Rises Batman. It's an amazing figure. It is. I have it. Fruity Batman. The bats will go to several stores, so hopefully In's Hobby and Toys Metaverse gets so I can secure my copy. And hopefully sandwiched in there will be the Deathstroke. So that I can review... Stupid. So I can cover that soon, because like I said, it's looking like it's already making moves on it. So yeah, it's difficult to not get frustrated at, like I said, certain people that just happen to stumble on that Batman Returns figure, those Batman Returns figures, Like one day they get found by someone, and then the next day that person just always gets the stuff early. It's almost like someone's telling him where it could be found or when they can get it. I'm just saying that this game might be rigged. So I'm just, for those of you who are watching, if in case you guys had aspirations, especially as we're hitting the weekend, of spending a good chunk of your time and gas money on all these targets trying to find Batman Returns figures, just know that the people finding them, let's just say vet them. Watch their if they're like mostly doing, if they mostly do like Instagram stuff and TikTok stuff, then just watch those Instagram reels, watch the TikTok videos. If they do YouTube videos though, look out for patterns, for habits, to see whether or not they're actually genuine about finding those figures. To me, a little bit of a red flag if they find the figures at the beginning of the video and they're already in the aisle and they don't show the footage of them walking into the store finding them. That's all I'll say. If the video starts right from them showing the figures there on the shelf, but the video starts from them just being already in the aisle, no way to prove, but also no way to deny that someone that works at that store got their palms greased and were like, oh yeah, it's in this box. Hold on, I set it aside for you. Blah, blah, blah. And there was no actual hunt involved. But if it actually shows them walking into the store and organically finding them there on the pegs or on the shelf, okay. I'm actually selling my Inart Batman. I can get past the scale. It's so small for me. LPZZ is the right size for me. I noticed. It's funny because on the one hand, part of me wants to compare that Dark Knight Rises, that Inart 112 Dark Knight Rises Batman to that Arkham Knight Batman. But two things: one, two different companies, two different properties, and two different approaches to the character, because I've always thought that Rocksteady's Arkham Batman from Asylum to Night has always been a little bit more exaggerated in terms of physicality, whereas Dark Knight Rises Batman is obviously it's Christian Bale. It's a real life actor, and it's grounded in reality. And Nolan has always made his universe to be a bit more grounded in reality. So it's kind of difficult where it's like, yeah, the scale is like this, but at the same time, I feel like they were going. I feel like once we get to the point where LPZZ makes a Bale Batman, which I got to be honest, I feel like they're not. If they're very likely R&Ding right now, since they're already making a Catwoman. It's like, why would you not do Christian Bale Batman? Why not? If they release theirs, then for sure I'm gonna have to grab both and be like, okay, who's got the skill? And if Inart truly does make theirs a little bit on the smaller side, then they're going to make theirs on the smaller side. What about the Batman soft goods figure from Chaos Toys? Which one is that one, Austin C? By the way, welcome. I'm actually a vendor, and I visit Targets and Walmart, so I have access to their back room. So I'm going to try and look for those Batman Returns at Target. Yeah, but Big Rib, you just said it right there. You're a vendor. You have, like, and if you can't say, that's okay. Just say what you're able to disclose. But being a vendor means that you have like a legitimate paperwork or license to say, hey, I'm registered. That sounds wrong. But you get my point. Like, you have the shit to show and be like, hey, I am a vendor. I run a business. Here you go. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about someone who, is not a vendor, doesn't take this shit seriously, and yet somehow still ends up with the stuff day one. It's like, okay, I'm just saying that sometimes it's difficult to not get upset when someone finds it, their content is very basic, and yet the people who put in the effort, who could include me, but also sometimes includes others like who's that YouTuber that it has the red logo? Let me see if I could find it. He does pretty good stuff. And then 5POA with the head swaps. I like his content. And then, of course, Anthony Customs. Like, you can tell when someone actually puts in the work in their content. And then others who just be like, oh, I got it first. It's like, all right, shut the fuck up, dude. That's what irritates me. It's like when the people who are like, hey, look, I got it first, get the, oh, action display. Here we go. Action display. This guy's cool. And I can tell he puts in the work with this content. If he found the Batman Returns figures early, I'd be like, okay, like the lighting. I actually like the lighting. Let me mute this. Whatever. Like those effects and all that stuff, the cuts, I can tell that there's work being put in here. Not too different from mine, actually. But I like his stuff. I'm like, all right, this feels like an actually well put together video. If someone like him found the Batman Returns figures early, I'll be like, cool. Deserves it. But when the people that actually found the Batman Returns wave found it in our current timeline, it irritates me. I can't help but get irritated by that. I'm like, of course. A Flashpoint Batman, what, from like LPZZ? Shit. And here's the thing, LPZZ is doing Batman Who Laughs. Why? There's no way to rule out a possible Flashpoint Batman. If they're tackling like the comic stuff, come on, man. So yeah, that's technically the first topic in regards to like the McFarlane stuff already showing up in stores. Like I said, no clear answer, but I have my assumption, which is the whole shipper stuff. What just really angers me, because this is obviously not the first time this has happened. It's been happening for quite literally years at this point. What irritates me more is just something that is unfortunately out of my control, which is that the people who don't really deserve to find these figures end up being the ones to get it first. And nobody wisens up to that. Everybody just sucks it up. But all I can do is that when I do get the Batman Returns figures in hand, whether it be finding them at a Target or finally getting my order shipped in from McFarlane, which will at least include the Penguin Commandos, I'll cover them in a very extensive video the way that I typically used to. And hopefully you guys like it. Alex, how's it going? And like I mentioned before, McFarlane is not the only company that I'm waiting on. I actually just got, I wonder if the tracking info has been updated, because, oh, I think it has. In transit? Let me see if I could ship it to, oh, yes. Oh, yes, baby. Oh, yes. Oh, baby, yes. Oh, baby, yes. I'm not gonna, yeah, it's gonna take too much time to show you guys the page. But I got the notification from Entertainment Earth that Daredevil himself from the Born Again wave from Marvel Legends has shipped. Kind of forgot about it, and at first I got the sting of like, getting charged, and I'm like, oh, why? But then when I saw that it was the Born Again Daredevil, I'm like, I actually might review that. For you guys. So keep an eye on the channel, because I might be doing that. Might be my first Marvel Legends in a while. Because what was my last Marvel Legends? It was some of the Gamerverse stuff. And the next one that I had remotely the closest bit of interest on was Daredevil from Born Again, because I actually do like the look of that suit. Apart from that, though, I'm still on a little bit of a sabbatical, quote unquote, from Marvel Legends, but the only exception right now is in fact Born Again. And knowing that getting mine from Entertainment Earth, I'm like, all right, put it to good use. I'll do a review for you guys and hopefully have it up for you guys in due time. By the way, congrats on meeting Charlie. Thank you, Alex. Let me put it to you guys this way. That was mostly for my girlfriend, because she's in love with him. And I actually did buy that photo op because obviously you have to buy photo ops. I mostly bought that as a anniversary gift for this year because I couldn't really think of anything better. And so I told myself, I was like, all right, let me go ahead and buy her this photo op with Charlie so that she can actually be in the same proximity as Charlie. With that said, I'm glad that I did it, and I'm happy that she was happy. Never will do it again. Not because the experience was bad. It wasn't. But it's one of those things, especially, like I said, at the age that you get at with where I'm at right now and say that I'm at, it's one of those things where, like, you think about the amount of money that you spent, which was definitely justified here because, like I said, it was an anniversary gift for my girlfriend, and I'm happy that she was happy. But will I ever do it for myself? I'm like, nah, because you think about the money that you spend, and then you don't realize when it comes to these photo ops, is that they're trying to get people, especially for people who are popular, like Charlie Cox, like David Tennant. They're trying to get people, especially for people who are popular, like Charlie Cox, like David Tennant, like who else is huge? Take your pick. The line is so long that the experience almost kind of cannibalizes itself, in the sense that streaming, watching shit, that unless you got good internet, it's gonna get siphoned, so to speak. Wow. And meanwhile, OBS shows nothing. Green, green, green. Why is it green then? Are we back? Are we back? Fuck me, I guess. And the most frustrating thing is that OBS literally shows nothing but green on the bars down here. 10,000 kilobytes per second. 0 drop frames. So, what's the fucking problem? Absolutely fucking nothing. Say it again. Well, I was looking at the chat. I was reading. You guys were talking about the shipping and all that. I don't get it. That's what's annoying. Like, if I showed drop frames and the bar was like red on OBS, I'll be like, all right, yeah, my internet's lagging. But it never gave me that indication. That's why when I saw the buffering on my preview window, that's why I'm like, what the hell? And then it said, instead of excellent condition, they had the yellow dot, and it said that, oh, the kilobytes are. So the only thing I can assume is that it's Friday night. YouTube is getting overloaded, getting pounded in the ass. Let me stop. So I wonder how this is gonna go. I'm wondering if this is just gonna cut in the middle of the VOD. Is that what? Okay, Bones, thank you for reminding me what I was talking about. Basically, long story short, before the internet cuts me off again, it really is a blink and you miss it situation with those kind of meetups because they're trying to get through so many people down off of that line. Because I remember one time my girlfriend was asking me, like, do you think we're going to be able to talk to her? And I looked at her like, no way. It even says in the rules and regulations when you buy the photo op saying, no talking. It's like, Jesus, okay. And when I saw how long the line was, I was like, yeah, it's just going to be like a, all right, next, no, next. And sure enough, that's what it was. So, yeah. So there's photographic evidence that we met Charlie Cox. I almost feel like I don't remember it. I remember it like in a fugue state. even though I wasn't in a fugue state, I was three-quarters awake because I already had a good amount of coffee and my breakfast in. I did get breakfast that morning, thank God. But I still had to like induce, like the night before I took a sleeping pill, and that morning I woke up earlier than I usually do. So I was kind of like in that slightly groggyish state, but I was technically awake. But even then, I still feel like I'm like, that went way too fast. And I know that it went fast, that I'm like, looking back at the amount you spend, you're like, was that worth it? And then I see my girlfriend smiling, and I'm like, it was worth it for her. Would I ever do a photo op for myself? No. Like, of an actor that I want to meet? No. I personally, apart from it being an anniversary gift from a girlfriend, I gotta be honest, I don't think photo ops are worth it. I really don't. I think it's better to, like, take your chances meeting someone out in the wild and possibly engaging in a conversation with them and taking a photo with them, rather than doing buying a photo op at a convention. All right, Alex. Okay, so before shit goes down with the internet again, let's talk about the main topic. And like I said, I'm hoping that YouTube. I remember reading somewhere that YouTube does have a bit of a fail safe, a bit of a thing to help out whenever something like this happens, where the stream just disconnects. Where as long as not too much time passes by, I think it kind of like connects it all together. Because so far my preview still reads hour and 24 minutes. So I'm hoping that this will all be one single VOD instead of being separate VODs. I'm hoping. I'm really, really hoping. In fact, let me check my channel on my phone. Because like I said, I really did have mainly just two topics. The first one was the one about McFarlane toys already showing up for some godforsaken reason. But then the second one was going to be pretty much everything that was shown off at WonderFest this year, which I remembered that was going on last week, and I'm hoping that that's why companies like LPZZ, Inart, and then vendors like Cowkeys, you guys mentioned a couple like Guns Damned, Bumblebee, have been a little bit on the quiet and slower side, is because they're also making sure that they're taking into consideration everything that's going to be shown off at WonderFest, which is pretty much, it's almost like a Chinese toy fair, because I know Toy Fair is the big one here in the States. At least I think it's in the States. It might be in, is it not in Canada? Or is it in Canada? Anyways, over here in North America, there's Toy Fair, right? When it comes to all these toy companies all congregating to be like, hey, look what we're working on. When it comes to WonderFest, it's pretty much like Toy Fair, but for China. And a lot of like Chinese companies trying to make the rounds. And here we are after a couple of days, and it looks like the two main companies that's like you guys mentioned in the chat stole the show was in fact LPZZ/UP Find Yours and Inart. Post in the chat for those of you who are still watching. Who do you want to start with, Inart or LPZZ? Paying to take a pic with another person is so wild to me. Well, like I said, CM Brock, I did it for my girlfriend, but am I ever gonna do it again, either for my girlfriend or for myself? I gotta be honest, I'm leaning towards no. I'm good. I want to meet Jensen Ackles and get my Batman The Long Halloween movie signed. Oh, nice. How much did it cost for the photo? It was like $130. Actually, I'm not. Well, it starts at $130, but if you want to get like a digital copy sent to yourself, they charge like an extra like $15. So I'm like, fuck it, fine. All right, we got 2 votes for LPZZ, 1 for Inart, 3 votes for LPZZ. I feel like we already know who's winning, but we shall see. I got some Reddit posts saved up here and some Facebook posts. So let me see if I could open these posts up on the side. And while I'm opening that up, before I let go of McFarlane also teased a 1966 Adam West Batmobile at an EB Games collector event in Montreal, Canada, which was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time, especially after the Adam West proper 7-inch DC Multiverse Adam West Batman figure was released. I think it was like at the beginning of this year, if I'm not mistaken. The beginning of this year, late last year. That came with like the raffle to win a replica of the cowl and all that stuff. And it was like one of the figures that they were trying to nominate for like figure of the year and all that stuff. And when that figure got released, I'm like, all right, I know that they did a DC Direct Batmobile, but they never made a proper 7-inch scaled Adam West 66 Batmobile. And now it looks like it's finally coming. They're finally checking that box off. Because Todd himself even loves the Adam West because that's what he grew up with. So I was like, I don't think it's a if, it's a when. And it looks like the when is finally upon us. I have absolutely no great affinity with the 66 Adam West. I did get the figure to review it, but is it like one of my treasured portrayals of the Dark Knight himself? Not so much. Didn't grow up with it even, so I don't have that strong of an affinity, and therefore I didn't really feel too compelled to cover that Batmobile. And to be quite honest, I'm not even sure if I'm even going to pre-order it when it finally goes live for pre-order. That 66 Batman, but we'll see. But right now, I don't feel that strong urge to wanna cover that. But we'll see. So let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 votes for LPZZ. I think I only got 1 Inart. And I got somebody said Inart, but even Big Rib even said that there's no news on pre-orders. LPCZ is at least, allowing some pre-orders already up for pre-order. 3 figures and a Batmobile. Wait. Oh, the Batmobile, the Justice League one. Right. All right, we'll start with LPZZ. So, LPZZ/UP Find Yours. They showed up. Inart technically went first, but then LPZZ was like, hold this. Because here I have a couple of posts. Let's start off with, you know what? It's funny because I was going to start with the one that I found on Reddit, but most of those photos that I have from the Reddit post are the ones that I shared on my personal community post. Let's go to the ones that I found on Facebook that I think are a teensy bit better. These were posted by Mert Guler over on the, what community was this? I don't even remember what this community was. Let's go back to it. Where was this posted? I think this was on the Action Figure or LPZ. I legit cannot remember where this was posted. But Mert Guler posted these. And then they were technically posted on, I think, Billy over in China. And so somebody reposted from there and reposted from there. And Mert Guler posted this on Facebook. LPZZ/UP Find Yours Arkham City Batman. And we know that this is Arkham City Batman because he's got the much more rounded compartments on the side of his utility belt versus the much more square ones from Arkham Asylum. So this is the Arkham Arkham City Batman to complement the Arkham Knight that just recently got released. I know that this is technically a prototype, but man, it's already looking kind of fine because it's already got the cut articulation baked into it. Oh, and the gauntlets. If you look at the gauntlets, those are the Arkham City gauntlets versus the Arkham Asylum ones. But in terms of detail, the only thing I'm a little iffy on is the little bit of breaking on the paint. It looks like it's already been a little damaged in transit, so that I'm hoping that that's just a thing that happened to this specific prototype, and it's not beholden to the rest of the mass-produced ones. But in terms of a previs sort of concept for LPZZ making an Arkham City Batman, this is mostly it. I say mostly because the only thing, I don't know if he's on the other photos, he's not. This is more of a wide angle photo before we get to this guy. So this is more so a wide angle photo, but based on this photo, the only thing that could probably use a little bit of refinement is the head sculpt. The cowl itself looks pretty nice, but the expression and whatever it's got going on a little bit on the face and on the mouth plate could probably use a little bit of work. It looks a little unfinished. But everything else, and including the cloth cape, and what I can tell is probably a bit of a wire right there, pretty reminiscent of the wiring that we had in the cape for the Arkham Knight version. I'm definitely liking from what I'm seeing. And I guess I get pretty excited along with everybody else, simply off the notion that their Arkham Knight Batman turned out so well that just the sheer confirmation of LPZZ saying, hey, we're making an Arkham City Batman 2 is enough for me to be like, bring it. Fucking bring it, man. And like I said, to me, my favorite part is pretty much this whole torso part because of the bat symbol, the simplistic nature to the armor that was made by Rocksteady back in the day, and then the utility belt, and then of course you got the little bits of sculpted on top of the gauntlets, the knee pads, the shins. Again, wish we could see just a little bit more, and technically we can a little bit on this wide shot, which of course is also showing us next to, I'm guessing because of the base, is meant to be not Arkham Asylum or Arkham City Joker, but Arkham Knight Joker. AKA, spoilers in case you haven't played Arkham Knight, but Psycho Joker or hallucinogenic Joker. Tyler Durden Joker, let's put it that way. Because, and I can kind of tell that it is Arkham Knight Joker because even though he's got the Arkham Rocksteady design to his suit, the hair, the physique, I hope that we have some close-ups. I don't think we have close-ups of that Joker in this photo dump, unfortunately. Yeah, we don't. If anything, we'll probably... Oh, perfect! We'll go over to this Reddit post because I think this kind of illustrates it a little bit better. If you look a little carefully, even though this is an unpainted and unarticulated prototype, simply just a proof of concept to kind of pitch the idea of what's to come, what's actually kind of in progress here is definitely the Rocksteady Arkham Joker, but the nameplate says Arkham Knight, and then on top of that, if you look at the little features on his face from what we can make out in this somewhat far away photo, he does have that slightly altered look that he had in Arkham Knight, where he didn't look exactly like he did in Arkham City or even in Arkham Asylum. In Arkham Asylum, he had like much more arched eyebrows and he had a much more maniacal look. They kind of softened him a little bit. There's something about his face. I can't put my finger on it, but they softened him up in Arkham Knight. I don't know if it's because of the engine or what other factors were at play, but it looks like that's what we got going on a little bit in the face. So this is technically Arkham Knight Joker. Gotta be honest, kind of wish that they were doing an actual proper to pair with, even though he's going to pair well with the Arkham Knight Batman, I still kind of wish that they would have done an Arkham Asylum Joker. Or a healthy Joker, quote unquote healthy, from Arkham City. So to see that this is going to be probably the Arkham Knight version is a little bit of a bummer. Just a tiny bit. But I'm still excited. And then our first major clash here, BVS Batman from LPZZ, which we've already heard about. You know, we've already had those like teaser images and posted on social media from some of the designers. Mighty Edward, I keep wanting to say Eduardo, but Mighty Edward #1 over on social media. Shout out to him for posting some photos, kind of teasing that BVS Batfleck. But now, shown off at WonderFest, this image alone, I gotta be honest, from this angle, for a little while, I legit thought that this was a goddamn Hot Toys. But then I see the cuts in the joints, and I'm like, oh no. This is the 1/12 LPZZ. Guys, is this going to be it? Or is Inart going to be able to compete? We'll answer that momentarily. But right now, based on this photo alone, and let me see if I had any photos on the Reddit post, because I don't think they did. I think they primarily focused on the Arkham stuff. But on this post here, we got this guy. And I know that there's probably other people who have posted their photos, but I don't want to go through all the posts because it started to get a little overwhelming. And then here, actually, before we move on from Batfleck, there was one other post, one other image, right here with an unpainted prototype, uncaped and unpainted prototype of Batfleck, next to that BVS / Justice League Batmobile, which is technically meant to be like a collaborative project with another company. I can't remember what the company is, but LPZZ / Upine Find Yours is going to be involved. It is possibly going to be a little on the costly side, but if that quality that they put into their figures is also going to be pushed through their vehicles as well, not only am I stoked for what is arguably one of my lesser liked Batmobiles. I'm not the biggest fan of the Justice League BBS, but I'm eager to see what the quality is going to be at play for this being the first one that they're tackling. And one of the first things that I said when they revealed that they were going to be doing a BVS, or I should just say a Snyderverse Batmobile, was what else are they going to tackle in the future? Arkham, perhaps? There it is. Motherfucking Arkham Knight Batmobile from LPZZ in the 1/12 scale. And here I am over here looking at McFarlane like, guys, I've been saying this in a couple of live streams already for almost a better part of like 2, 3, maybe 4 months, which from a business standpoint is like what, a quarter on that business on that fiscal calendar. That's a lot of time to pass by without at least entertaining the notion of making a DC Multiverse, Arkham Knight Batmobile to pair with the Arkham Knight figure that you did a few years back and the recent Prestige Edition. And here's LPZZ saying, don't worry, we got you guys. Check it out. Unpainted prototype. Question is still out whether or not it's going to be able to transform into its tank mode. But just the fact that it's confirmed and existing, pretty nice. Again, if I had it my way, I would have liked it better if it was the Arkham Asylum original Batmobile, but as I mentioned time and time again, pragmatically, it makes much more sense to make the Arkham Knight Batmobile because it's the one that was featured mostly in its respective game. It's the most recent one, and I'm definitely part of a very, very brute minority when it comes to the Arkham Asylum Batmobile. But at the same time, never say never. So yeah, and it also means that we're not getting anything anywhere close to being finished with the Arkhamverse, because also coming down the pipeline from Arkham Knight is actually what is set to be the second release by LPZZ, which is probably just around the corner, which is, of course, Deathstroke, featured here at the front in this photo. But then in the back, you'll notice that, yes, there's that Catwoman, which we have seen unpainted maquettes of before, but this is the first, I believe, this is the first time that we get our fully painted, fully articulated Catwoman with both no goggles and the claws in 2 different stances. So we got those 2 stances right there. I don't know if it's going to be in these other photos, but I believe right here. A little bit on the blurry side, but you get the that crouched one right there, that one right there. She's a little bit in the background over here, but then when you get to these photos over yonder, there you go. She's even got a little bit of that bloody wound after getting captured by Riddler in her side quest. I do like that she's even got this buckle, which I recently noticed during my recent playthrough of Arkham Knight. So there you go. Liking the texture work. We know that LPZZ can nail that nice texture that you see realized in Rocksteady's design for Arkham Knight. So it looks like that's not going to be any different here on... it looks like we're going with like a... Looks like there's a bit of a separation between the hair and the head, which means that that's probably how you're going to be able to move the goggles about to then get this effect on this head over here. And naturally, hold on. Let me go a little forward here because more stuff from Arkham Knight. We're going to get the Arkham Knight himself, which I got to be honest, just like with the BVS Batfleck, this is another one where if I didn't pay attention to the cuts and the articulation, this borderlines looks like a Hot Toys. And again, it could just simply be the angle, like this right here. If it wasn't for the base of the arm, and then this angle right here almost looks like the Hot Toys. But then I see the arm that's holding it up, and then the little cuts of articulation that are very well hidden with a figure like this because he's so armorized that hiding the articulation is going to be excellent. Like this, look at this. I can't wait for the day where I get this in hand and I put it next to the McFarlane. That's going to hurt. I can tell you that, guys, right now. That's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a little bit. Let me check on your guys' chat here. Yeah, Big Rib, I saw it come up. He already did the review, so it's got to be around the corner. The JM busting the nut. And Bones, you said they're doing your boy Jay really good. It doesn't look like they're stopping with just a standard Arkham Knight version. They're leaning into post-game with the reveal. Again, spoilers in case you haven't played Arkham Knight after 10 years. But one of the big fallacies of that game, that spoilers for my Arkham Knight 10-year retrospective, 10 years later, replaying the game, I think for the third time, I'm sorry, it still kind of sucks that they went with Jason Todd as the Arkham Knight. It's like, so you lied when you said that he was an original character, because he was not. And but it looks like LPZZ is going to take advantage to make multiple iterations of, well, maybe not multiple, because it looks like these two are the same figure, only differently painted and differently articulated, where you're going to have his Red Hood look from the very, 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 very end of the game, very end of Arkham Knight, and then his unmasked look, which I'm hoping is simply just the previous figure, but just with a different head sculpt that has him half masked to show off his face. Because it looks like they're leaning heavily into that. From the look of it, like I said, I think these two look like they're the same figure. Kind of, maybe. Some of the pads look a little bit different. But at the same time, he's got the regular helmet here. And when he looks like Red Hood, it's in the DLC, and by then he's got the jacket with the hood. So that wouldn't make sense. So that doesn't really look what's going on right here. So, yeah, it looks like they're very much leaning into the Arkham stuff for a good while. And there's that, and then we circle. And then I guess before we move on, since he's kind of in isolation here, they're doing a Pattinson Batman as well. Now, full confession, possible hot take, I think this is probably the only thing that LPZZ showed off where I think maybe the Inart might be better. Difficult to say off of these preliminary photos. Again, could end up eating my words later, but there's something Mafexy / Mesco-y about the LPZZ Pattinson versus the Inart. And I think that's a little bit of an advantage that Inart has over LPZZ, because Inart technically already did Pattinson in the 1/6 scale. So all they had to do is just take everything that they learned from that and shrink it down. And that's probably what they did. That's probably what their strategy was. Because that's probably the only one I'll have to give Inart is that Pattinson Batman. So what do you guys think? Hold on, before I move on to those middle ones there, am I crazy on that stance with the Pattinson? Yeah, Bones, I'm really hoping that they don't nickel and dime too much with like 3 separate figures for one character. I'm like, ugh. While you guys mentioned in the chat what you guys feel about that, let me go check on my dog. He is barking, but since I'm the only one at home right now, I'm like, all right, I gotta check to see what that bark is. And I am feeling an ice cream sandwich. And it'll, you know, cool down my voice so I can continue. Good night, Conflict. All right, I'm back. Wonder what the pre-order bonus for each figure will be. Well, does LPZZ does pre-order bonuses? Because I don't think they do. Amazing Yamaguchi does. Dude, why is the chocolate section of each of these like so fucking... It always seems like it's melting. Check it out, guys. Check it out. It's also gonna lube up my throat. Junichi Sato, welcome to the stream. Thoughts on Cabo 112? We're gonna get to him because he's Inart. Right now I'm covering the LPZZ stuff, which I'm fairly almost done. There's actually a figure that LPZZ showed off that is a perfect segue into Inart because Inart's practically doing the same one. And now I gotta go get a snack. I may be stretching with this, but it could be possible that Arkham City's Batman pre-order bonus would be the rabbit mask from the Jarvis Touch Mad Hatter mission. Ooh, so like a alternate head sculpt, but it's the like that creepy ass face. Actually, be kind of nice. Oh, Bones, you're right. Yeah. Oh, okay. See, Bones, you're kind of reminding me what my complaint was the fact that those felt like things that should have been included. Although the remote batarangs was a little bit too much, but I was like, why is a freeze grenade a pre-order? I feel like that should just be included. And the angry mouth plate. I'm like, all right. But okay, so we were talking about Pattinson Batman, right? On this post. On the LPZZ side of things. And then we tackled most of the Arkham stuff. They are doing first of all, they are doing and fuck it, I just checked on the dog and now he's barking again. Now he's getting on my nerves. They're doing Harry Potter figures. That's strange, but okay. And this has been confirmed before, but they've shown this up before at a previous event. But LPZZ is going to be tackling the Hush series, specifically for Batman and Superman from that comic, the Batman Hush. So they're going to be doing a Batman Hush Batman with the blue, and this is simply just the early prototype, but you can already tell the shade of blue that they're going for from this cape alone. And it's very much comic based. We already got some articulation baked into the maquette, but it's going to be comic, so it's going to be a little bit cleaner and simpler on the design. But if that detail and that quality of plastic is up to par, like somebody else in the comment section said here, game over for Mayfix. I would not be terribly surprised. They're also doing a Red Death from Dark Knight's Metal because, like I mentioned time and time again, Dark Knight's Metal is like the most cheapest thing to license out, apparently, for action figure companies, especially the ones overseas. Inart's doing them as well. And speaking of Inart, already up for pre-order, unlike Inart, LPZZ/UPF, Batman Who Laughs. I already put down my pre-order for him over at Toys Metaverse. So he already went up for pre-order. He's already available with like full product photos. I'd imagine he's number 3 after Deathstroke. I could be wrong, but I think he's with the type of photos that they're released. like the type of product photos, I'm banking that he is next. That he's number 3, and not anybody else. Hold on. I'm just trying to finish my sandwich before I keep talking too much. Yeah, Bones, like I mentioned in that review, the pre-order bonuses felt like that kind of thing because they're already in the box in a little baggie. It just gives me this vibe of like, okay, this is kind of reminding me of like when those day one pre-order bonuses that it's in a voucher inside of the case of a game that you buy, but you're like, I didn't pre-order this. I just bought it like the first month it came out. So you don't have to actually pre-order. My girlfriend just sent me a photo of a funnel cake. She's been wanting funnel cake for the longest time. She finally got it. All right, cool. Got my got my sandwich in. It's also gonna give me a little bit of a sugar spike that I'm gonna need for finish this stream and then do my Hot Toys review. LPZZ has me torn right now with Hush since I've been waiting. Yeah, I gotta be honest. I want to say the Hush stuff from LPZZ is probably the stuff I'm looking forward to the least, only because there's already a little bit of a saturation when it comes to Hush. From Mayfix, a little bit of McFarlane. It's like, it feels a little oversaturated. Just a tiny bit. But you know what is not overly saturated? Because no company has tackled it until now. Not one, but 2 fucking companies is in fact, and I'm trying to find a really good picture because honestly, the one that I got from Facebook right now is kind of terrible. So let me see if I can find a better one. Hold on. Pause for a second. I'm going to try to find a better picture because the one that I just saw, not the best. Is it better? God damn it. I saw one that was infinitely better from LPZZ. Where'd you go? Or was it under Reddit? It might have been Reddit. Let me go into Reddit's, LPZZ's subreddit to see if there's something better. Only because the photo I was about to show is kind of terrible. What is that? Oh my god, I did not see this. Holy is this the Batman Beyond suit from Arkham Knight? Are they doing that too? Jesus. Is that what this is? Look at this. Because I'm looking at that. Yeah, I'm looking at the symbol and I'm looking at the utility belt and now, of course, the covered up mask. That's the Batman. Wow. They're doing that too? There's that Batmobile again. Okay, look, this does a better job of showing off that it's going to be the Arkham Knight Joker instead. Weird-ass Harry Potter figures. Malfoy looks weird. Harry actually doesn't look too bad, but Malfoy looks kind of weird, if I'm being honest. And unfortunately, this post did not have the figure that I wanted to showcase a little bit more strongly. So let me see. Jesus. No one's got it? Not too long ago, I saw a really good photo of him, and now it's gone? Damn. Is it maybe in the action figure subreddit? Let me try that. I don't know why it's so difficult to find. You guys know who I'm talking about. Okay, this is going to take forever, because I feel like the action figure subreddit is covering almost everything that it's like, yeah, I don't know how well I'm going to do here trying to find them. Shit. That might be needed. Jesus H. Christ, people. Yeah, I already saw that one. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to settle with the blurry picture because I know I've seen a better picture. Or was it on my Instagram where? Oh, you know what? Actually, I might be right. I think it was my Instagram. Hold on, let me pull up the Instagram. Like I said, I think I remember now. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Kevbot, welcome. Yeah, JM. I mean, well, here's the thing, JM, is that their quality with some of the licensed stuff has been a little weird, as my past two reviews of the No Way Home Spideys have been. But when it comes to like the comic stuff, even the reissue stuff, like I'm hearing good things about the Miles Morales reissue. I wouldn't know because mine is stuck in fucking limbo. I got my notification from HobbyLink Japan that my renewal comic book adult Miles Morales has landed and it's in the private warehouse. But unfortunately, it's going to cost another whopping $90 fucking dollars to ship it to me because of the tariffs. And DHL is the only option to be able to do it right now. I literally have to pay twice for the figure. So right now, I couldn't do it. I'm like, even if I'm doing YouTube right now and the channel's monetized, I have to be practical here and be like, I'm not paying another $90 to ship this one figure. A lot of people have said that it makes much more sense to just wait for other figures to release so that then you can like bulk them and send them. So even if you do get charged $90 again, at least it's just the one $90 charge, but at least you're shipping like 3 or 4 figures. But at the same time, I'm still in that place where I'm like, is it worth it though? And it's just going to have to stay in that limbo stage. So I wish I could review that figure, but I just can't in good conscience spend another $90-something. And it'll be like the action figure equivalent of like the ending of the Mist movie, where if you had just waited a little bit, you could have been, you could have had a better ending. And I'm referring to, I don't have it on my Instagram either. Where did I save it? Holy shit. Was it on Twitter? I don't think it was on Twitter. I'll have to look it up. But, yeah, like, who knows if, like, next week, best case scenario, unlikely scenario, but best case scenario, next week, UPS is back at HobbyLink Japan. Only about 15, 20 bucks to ship it. There it is. So yeah, I'm waiting on that one. But anyways, the figure that I was trying to use as a segue to not only show off for LPZZ as like the last LPZZ thing, but also kind of connects us to Inart, is that we're finally getting a version of some kind of absolute fucking Batman. And there he is. Now, this is the LPZZ version, and it's simply just an unpainted maquette, but I love the fact that they opted for a pose, complete with the little, like, tendril things, based off of his look from the cover of Absolute Batman #1. So just the sheer fact that it's Absolute Batman #1, replicated here in the 112 format, and based on the little bits of the armor and the suit and the physicality, this is going to be a chunky boy. But just imagine this articulated with that same kind of quality that we know LPZZ has been able to deliver with their one figure, which is the Arkham Knight Batman. And I'm like, bro, and just the fact that at least one of these companies is confirming to us, like, yeah, we're making it. But it's not, it was crazy that it wasn't just one company. It's actually two. Inart also came in with a good amount of things to show at WonderFest Shanghai 2025 with their own set of things, including their own Absolute Batman. Now, theirs was put in a different pose. I want to say this. It's difficult to make out whether or not it's articulated. It looks like it's hiding some joints. I think it is articulated, this particular maquette. Now, it's definitely riffing off of Absolute Batman. And I personally have not read Absolute Batman. I do have Absolute Batman #1 right over there, but I haven't actually read too many issues into the series. So, without going into spoilers, guys, can any of you tell me, does his suit sort of change a little bit? Because what he's got going on in this version of the Inart is a little bit different than what was shown at the LPZZ. I don't know if this subreddit post is going to have LPZZ Absolute. Let me see if that's going to yield me a good result here. I don't think so. Well, actually, maybe. Hold on. Because we have this comparison. And it's just Batflick. Great. Oh, actually, hold on. A little bit. It's just one graphic. God damn it. Thought it was going to be like a carousel. Wait. No, it's the same post. Do we have, like, anybody? Oh, here we go. Oh, and before I forget. Oh, yeah. There's the... Oh, I think that's a little bit older. I think we've seen that before. No. Go back. Before I forget, we're also getting Arkham Origins. Guys. Also from LPZZ. Arkham Origins. McFarlane. Where you at, buddy? We've been saying we need an Arkham Origins Batman to go with that Deathstroke that was released quite literally like 3 or 4 years ago. We still need an Arkham Origins Batman. And guess who, like I've been, forecasting for the past few months, you're going to have all of these companies overseas, LPZZ, Inart, maybe Mafex, maybe Figure Arts, maybe Fonjoy, finally looking at the comments saying, telling people that have access to Instagram, YouTube, going into those videos, going into the comments saying, what are people demanding for? Oh, Arkham Origins Batman? All right, then let's make it. Here's LPZZ doing it. Come on, man. Come on. But anyways, the point I was trying to make a little bit earlier is that the Absolute Batman that Inart is tackling here, this is obviously the Absolute Batman, but his suit looks a little bit different. Like the bat symbol looks a little bit extra armorized. There's extra spikes on the shoulders, on the gauntlets, on the straps. Obviously, you got the weapons right there, and then, of course, the extra tactical gear here and the sheer honkiness to the suit. But it definitely looks a little altered, a little changed up than what he either looks like in that first comic issue, that cover, or what LPCC is generating over there with that specific maquette that they got going on over there. Travels and Conversations, welcome to the stream. Cheers from India. I told wifey a year back that I'm almost at 100% collection and no more toys. Now, what do I tell her about these drops from LPZZ and Inart? Yeah, take out a loan. I don't know what to tell you. McFarlane had a chance to make Batman, Origins Batman, but he decided to make Kitman. Oh, you mean Kite Man? Jesus. Maurice Phillip, bye. See you later. Thank you for dropping by. Did you discuss the Inart accessory pack that's only sold on the website that the users can order? I was going to segue into that a little bit as I kind of move from LPZZ to Inart now. I'm trying to visualize the possibility for Absolute Batman. You can barely see any any seam lines. That suit doesn't change that I recall. So why does it look so different on the Inart version? It looks cool, but it also doesn't look exactly like it does in the comic. Even I can tell from the cover. I'm like, it looks a little bit different. I've stopped collecting McFarlane up to 2023. Too many exclusives, hard to find them in India. I heard. But going back to Inart, despite the liberties that they may or may not be taking with that Absolute Batman, you guys earlier said that you gasped at the Arkham Knight Batmobile from LPZZ. I did too, but when it came to Inart, out of everything that they showed, I kind of gasped at the Dark Knight Returns figure that they showed off here. Because it's fully painted, articulated, even though I'm still knowing that it's a prototype and it's probably going to be a ways off, probably like maybe spring-ish time of next year. But the texture work that I'm seeing, like this looks like a legitimate one of those like statues, like from Prime statue from 3.0, but then shrunken down to 1/12 and then made into a figure. To give Inart a little bit of credit here. And I'm pretty certain LPZZ is probably going to make one, but they didn't show one off at, from what I remember, at this WonderFest event. And this is probably one of the few things combined with Alex Ross Kingdom Come Superman here. Or, well, actually, I take that back. It's not Kingdom Come Superman. It's just Alex Ross Superman because he's only got the regular symbol. He doesn't have that angular one that they kind of lifted to use for the James Gunn Superman. It's not that one. It's just Alex Ross designed. Fully Alex Ross designed because of not only the look of the suit and the look of the head sculpt, but my man is packing. Just like this gif. Jesus Christ. Some people, however, have contested the fact that the suit has a texture going on it. Because when you think of Alex Ross's Batman and Superman designs, the suits never look textured. They just look like spandex just stretching over the skin. So that's probably another liberty that Inart is taking to kind of showcase their technology, their texture technology. But just the fact that they're tackling some of the stuff on the comics or some stuff that's just from artist focus, like the Alex Ross here, it's something. It's still something to kind of take a look. But of course, Inart is most definitely not going to be letting go of the Dark Knight trilogy anytime soon. We're getting a 1/12 Joker. And I gotta be honest, I feel like out of everything that they showed off here, 1/12 Joker will probably be coming a little sooner and maybe a little bit better than anything that LPZZ might be working on. There was no Heath Ledger Joker shown off by LPZZ, only by Inart. But I feel like Inart might have a leg up because much like what I said about Pattinson Batman, they've already tackled their own Ledger Joker in 1/6 scale, so all they have to do is just shrink it down. You know, consider the hurdles of shrinking down the cloth coat like they're doing here, which cool to see that's going to have felt goods, the articulation, the likeness, and just bring all the sensibilities that they learned from making the 1/6 scale like the rooted hair and all that stuff, and bring it into 112. I don't expect rooted hair with the 112. It'll be too cumbersome, and I wouldn't want to really like manage it every time that I futz with it. I'd rather have sculpted in 112. But like I said before, their practices, and they kind of already tackled this before, so they just have to shrink it down. What they haven't tackled before is the Bane. So the Dark Knight trilogy is gonna keep on trucking in 112 format with a Bane. This looks semi-articulated. It doesn't look like it's actually movable joints, but they kind of like sculpted them anyway just to show that, hey, honestly, this is kind of smart because I think they did this on purpose to confirm like, hey, in 1/6, it makes sense to do like silicone arms to cover up those joints. We're not doing that shit in 1/12. And I think that this is what this is doing. This is confirming that they're not going to be doing silicone bodies on 1/12. That's too small, too like, it's going to be a hassle. And I'm like, all right, that makes total sense. And I'm fine with it. Just make sure that you iron out the detail. Looks lifelike, looks premium, feels premium, and we'll be good. Just like with Christian Bale Batman. Because even though all of us were really stoked at what LPZZ is doing, we also shouldn't really discredit too much Inart, because even though Inart has only had one release so far, it was a fucking 9 out of 10 release. It was. I'm still keeping them in the game. Have they won the game? No. But they're still playing. So whatever their second 112 release is gonna be, that's definitely one to really scrutinize. Which right now I'm starting to get the feeling it's gonna be Catwoman, because there's rumors going around that sometime this month, pre-orders for the 112 Dark Knight Rises Catwoman are gonna go live, and if they are, then I can only assume that that's their way of saying she's next on 112. Apart from the Wukong stuff, I'm talking about licensed, Batman stuff. Especially when it comes to the Nolanverse, or I guess in this case, the Snyderverse with the Gal Gadot 112. Similar to what I mentioned about Joker and about Pattinson Batman, this is another one that they, I think, feel pretty confident on, because they're currently working on the 1/6 scale version. So they're probably like, hey, let's take some of our team and start R&Ding a 112 version. That's pretty much what we got going on right here. 112 Arkham Origins figures. So we technically have seen Arkham Origins Batman from Inart before at 2 prior events. One of which one of which I did go to last year. Not this year's. Arkham Origins Batman was not present at this year, but last year's San Diego event, I went and they had the Arkham Origins Batman. They brought him back here again. From what I can tell, it looks like they cleaned up the suit. It looks much more fine, like HD-ish, like much more vibrant. I'm not sure that I like it better. Like, it looks like a very, very clean version of the suit, but the whole point of the Arkham Origins suit is that it has this weathered, like, okay, this guy, Batman is only 2 years, I think only 2 years into his tenure as Batman in that game, and therefore he's gonna take much more bumps and bruises. He's a little more inexperienced, so that suit's gonna be much more weathered and less cleanly. So the fact that they cleaned it up, I'm not sure I'm like on board with that. Deathstroke looks a little bit cleaner as well from Inart. I like the head sculpt, although it's kind of leaning towards a bit of a Joe Manganiello, whatever his last name is, which is funny because that's who was set to play the character in the Snyderverse before that all got axed. But they don't look bad. I just feel like we would have preferred a much more weathered look to those versions. And then something that we did see earlier this year at the San Diego event that I attended was BVS, Batman, and Superman themselves. Only this time, to give us kind of a glimpse of the progress that it's undergoing, we now have articulated versions of those figures. So we have actual articulated cuts baked into the models of both BVS, Batman, and Superman. So now we have a much broader look of how the articulation is going to look like. If it feels just as good as the Bale Batman, we're in good hands. It looks like they did a better job masking it slightly on the Batfleck. Except for the torso, it's making him look just a little bit pudgy on the stomach. It's like it's protruding ever so slightly. But this is all pretty much what I was kind of expecting to happen with the body itself. Cavill looks a little leaner, just like the maquette. So I kind of wish that he does look a little bit more defined as far as the musculature, especially around the abdomen area because of this mid-torso cut. The head does look like it lost a little bit of the likeness. It's a little difficult to tell from some of these photos. I don't know if any of the other photos are going to get a little closer. There were some other, like I said, it gets difficult to track. But there were some photos. I think this is LPZZ. Let me see if I can find the... Oh, here we go. I remember I followed the official Inart 112th subreddit. So let me see if this gives me better close-ups. So here's a really nice close-up of the BVS Batflick with a little bit of that facial hair. Honestly looks really good. Really, really good. But it's Cavill that I'm like I can tell that they're trying to emulate Cavill, but I gotta be honest, I think I like his look back during Comic-Con a little bit better. I feel like they lost a little bit here on the brow. Like, I don't know what it is, but something in the brow is a little lost. Everything else looks nice, but it's a little bit on the brow. Could just be me. Not entirely sure. And then we had this post right here. I think it's going to show us just a little bit more of that Bane. Oh, no, it's not. It's just his own figures. I'm just trying to see if there's any better posts of the Inart stuff. Apart from that Facebook post that I have. There's that, like I said, that Catwoman, which again, right here is showing up fully painted and articulated, which kind of lends a little bit to the possibility that it's probably going to be the next one up for release, for pre-order and release. And these are some of the blurrier stuff. So going back to this post right here. There's that Pattinson Batman, which, like I mentioned before, I think this is probably one of the few, right now, subject to change, but right now, I'm feeling like maybe Inart might make the better 112 Pattinson Batman versus LPZZ. The LPZZ doesn't look bad, but it's looking a little Mayfix-ish. Now, David, why don't you put them side to side? We'll get to that. Once I am done with this carousel, there's a couple of other posts where they put the figures right next to each other. So we'll come back to that. We're getting what almost looks like an Infinite Frontiers Joker or a Hush. I don't think it's a Hush Joker. It almost looks like an Infinite Frontiers Joker, but I could be wrong. But basically a very comic-based Joker, similar to how they're tackling some of the comic stuff with like the Alex Ross Superman, the Dark Knight Returns Batman, or I think somewhere in here. Let me see if I could find it. I'm hoping it's in the it's not. God damn it. But there was a post that had, I'm wondering if I could find it here on the subreddit. Oh, here we go. Singular photo, but we're getting a White Knight Batman from Inart. Again, we're going for that textured look, but I do like how definitive the beard, the hair sculpt, and then that symbol right there. So again, looking at McFarlane, even though I think it's too late for McFarlane to do any kind of like 2.0 with that, but yeah, I do like that Inart is kind of expanding their horizons besides just the movies. They're tackling very comic heavy stuff, and if it looks cool, we will buy it. Just make sure that that quality is up to par, and you guys could have a winner. So let me just, like I said, finish off this carousel here. But like I said before, Pattinson Batman is the only one that I like that weathered kind of look to it. And I think the face sculpt here, I think looks a little bit better than the LPZZ. I gotta be honest, I don't know what this is. I know it's Superman related, but I can't remember what this character is. But Inart's making him. And then you can vaguely make it out in the background. There's the Green Lantern Corrupt Batman and the Batman Who Laughs, which have been shown before at previous events. Recently, at the San Diego Inart event, they revealed that they are making a 112th Arkham Origins XC suit or Extreme Environment suit Batman, where he's going up against Mr. Freeze. This time, though, he's posed differently. He's articulated. Still unpainted, though, but cool ice effects encompassing the arm and the foot there. So that's pretty cool. And that's it. So I think, let me go back and check out the chat. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to pull out that comparison sort of post. Actually, this is perfect right here. Along with this Batflick one. Ooh, see it? Whoa, 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 whoa. What is going on? Travels and Conversation. Thank you for the super chat. Also, keep streaming. Did you PO and Red Hood? Are you talking about the Mezco Red Hood? I haven't. But thank you for the 40. I want to say those are ruples or no? Or is it something different? But thank you for the 40. I'll say that. Thank you for the 40. And CM Bronk, thank you for the $4.99, the $5. Going back to LPZZ for a moment, do you think that we'll get bigger characters from the game like Bane, Mr. Freeze, Killer Croc even? I'd say nothing is kind of off the table now, knowing that they're taking on Arkham. And like I said, from a pragmatic business standpoint, it makes sense to tackle just Batman straightforward and, of course, the main villains. But some of the side stuff, I would say if it sells enough, maybe. I wouldn't rule it out. Whew. Sorry, guys. I went off on a tangent. And JM, good night. Thank you for joining the stream. Okay, Travels, I see your follow-up coming. You were talking about the Mezco. I didn't. It does look kind of nice. I do like that when it comes to Mezco, they're felt goods. They always go for, like, felt good stuff. I guess, some of the more recent comic book characters that they've been tackling, it kind of makes sense. It makes sense for them to tackle Red Hood because of the jacket and the cargo pants. It's just that it's Mezco, and right now I have a little bit of a tumultuous relationship with Mezco. However, I did pre-order their animated series stuff. So I'll, subject to change on that Red Hood. Especially since it's Red Hood. I like the character, but I don't love him enough to collect too many figures of him. Inart is still showing unpainted prototypes it showed a year ago, so trying to manage 1.6 and 1.12 is showing they are lagging. I will admit to that. Like I said, when I went to that San Diego event, one little criticism that I had was that they showed off an unpainted Catwoman. But we've seen her painted and articulated before, so why is it unpainted still? And that Batman Who Laughs, like I said, it's been over a year. The corrupt Green Lantern Batman, it's been over a year. That Devastator from last year. And then, of course, Arkham Origins Batman, only this time he did not show up either at the San Diego Comic-Con event back in July that I attended or at WonderFest this year. So I'm like, guys, yeah, I think maybe they need to hire more people. Some to dedicate to 1.6 and then some to dedicate it to 1.12. That's just my personal consumer observation. Yeah, Bones, that little like silhouette, that's why it was off of that thing that I looked at, and that's what kind of tipped me off to them possibly doing the pre-orders for Catwoman this month. Federico, welcome to the stream. I thought LPZZ made this Absolute Batman prototype, so it's Inart. Been making my own Absolute Batman, but this reveal is dope. No, Frederick, it's both of them. They're both doing it. It's just that Inart is doing some liberties with the suit to where they're like over stylizing it in a very busy way, whereas LPZZ is going for the cleaner, more source material based look that he had from the cover of that Absolute Batman #1. So yeah, two different approaches, but they're both tackling them. But you know who's not tackling him? McFarlane. God damn it. So, real quick, before we wrap things up, I do want to show off some side-to-side imagery to compare the stuff that was tackled by both companies. So I got this Facebook post that did show off some of the movie stuff, mainly the movie stuff. So here we have LPZZ versus Inart regarding the Dark Knight Rises Catwoman. I believe this is Inart. This is LPZZ. Again, very difficult to tell from the photos. I think maybe this is another one that Inart might have it. I think the face sculpt or the face likeness on that sculpt is a little better. And I think her physique is a little better. I think she looks a little too thick here in the middle, which, you know, I like my thick women. But is it technically screen accurate? Not really. I think the proportions just look a little strange here for the LPZZ. Whereas the Inart gets, you know, she had a slimmer physique in that movie. So I think Inart maybe nailed it a little better. But I am noticing one comment that someone's mentioning here. Is the LPZZ going to have rooted hair on 1/12th? Bro. Fuck. LPZZ is like, yeah, but got the hair though. God damn it. It's actually a pretty good case. Yeah, here you go. I think that is hair, guys. God damn it. And then, okay, here we go. At least we got Inart, LPZZ. Inart doesn't look bad, but I'm not going to lie. I think LPZZ might be a little better. It might be a little better. Someone said, and the winner is McFarlane. And who knows? It could be the lighting, but although somebody did point out that Inart is doing a little bit of a better job hiding the joints. They're using the little bits of the lines on the suit to hide the joints, whereas LPZZ is a little bit more obvious with them. But if functionality, posability, and just sheer playability of the figure is better on that one, then fuck it. Just let it be. Let that one be better. And yeah, see, here you go. I don't know what it is, but I honestly have to give Inart this one. LPZZ's looks a little Mayfixy. Not inherently bad, but if we are to pick one, I think I might have to give it to Inart. Okay, and that's it. I think I might have to look up another post that compares the two. Because I think it's a little unfair that this one technically only had 3 pictures. Because the first 2 were all Catwoman. But yeah, there you go, guys. Side to side of those 2. And then let me see if they can both show off. But an LPZZ Killer Croc would go hard, though. It would. I thought LPZZ... Oh, no, I read that. I heard Inart was going to make the Catwoman with rooted hair for Catwoman. So far, as you can see, it's sculpted. But let me see if I could find a better one that compares the two. Did I find one that was comparing the two? Or am I crazy? That's the post that I already saw. Let me see if I can go back to the Inart subreddit. There's a post that has like a collage of them, but I don't like the whole collage thing. I kind of wish that it was like actual photos. Although those were the main ones that I wanted to compare next to each other. I don't think I'm going to be able to find too many, unfortunately. And then I could try to go through the action figure subreddit, but a lot of people are posting on that one that I think I lost it. And I don't think I have it saved. Let me check my saves one more time. I don't think I have. Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm wrong. Not kind of wrong, kind of not. At the event, Inart did show off the. I mentioned Green Lantern and Batman Who Laughs. They were there. I knew that. I did not know that Devastator was there too. So they did bring back Devastator. Where he at though? Because like I said, he was at the event last year, and it is taking a while. And I think that. Oh, and then Red Death also. LPZZ is also going to be doing a Red Death. You guys saw that in the photo. That's another one to possibly compare to, but strangely, nobody brought him up. Jesus, so the arrows don't work on Reddit? Bullshit. Yeah, so right here, the Pattinson here actually doesn't look bad, except maybe his head looks a little too big. But it's once you get to this version, although I think it's unpainted, so that's not 100% fair. But the head, it just looks a little Mafexy to me. Jesus Christ. Ooh, some better close-ups to bad. Bones. There's that J on Jason. More Red Hood. Like I said, apparently they're also making Batman Beyond. Okay, that's it. Yeah, so I wish I could have found some more comparisons there between the two. Those were the main ones that people were comparing to, but they're also doing a Red Death. Absolute Batman, but of course those were like prototypes. So yeah. So how many like loans are we gonna have to pull out for all these figures? Probably come next year, cause Jesus Christ. Oh man. Oh. Yeah. So that was a good treat. But who won at the end of the day? I think you guys are convinced me throughout this latter half of the show that it truly was LPZZ. You know, they pulled out the stops on some things that we weren't expecting. Some things that were rumored for a while, and we only got like preliminary photos. But then when we get like these much more from different angles and different lights, peaks of what people were able to show off from the ground floor, it definitely has us excited. And we also can't ignore the numbers that LPZZ has 3 figures that are fully available. Well, have been fully launched for pre-order. Are they available? Not so much, because not only that, but one figure technically got released. You know, well, one got released and one is just right around the corner in a very momentous sort of propulsion. So far, both Inart 112 and LPZZ have one figure actually properly released. The Arkham Knight Batman from LPZZ / Supine Fine-Viewers, and then the Christian Bale Batman from Inart. But can you pre-order the next Inart from the Batman or DC side of things? No. Can you pre-order not only the second, but also the third DC figure from LPZZ/UPF? Yes. And that second one is already in some hands for some reviewers, complete in box. Not a prototype that was like loosely packaged and all this stuff. No, it's like what is set to be the final release. They're making some tweaks to like the color, but I think we're only a few weeks away from mass release. Which means probably by the end of this month, I should make sure I have money set aside for when Toys Metaverse hits me up and says, hey, it's ready, fulfill your invoice. There's definitely something spoken through the language that gives me a bigger vote of confidence from LPZZ than Inart. Even though we know that the talent and the actual strengths at play are present over at Inart, it's just a managerial thing that they need to iron down on in terms of scheduling, pipelines, timelines, deadlines, a lot of lines. But the talent is there, and that was clearly demonstrated by their Dark Knight Rises Christian Bale Batman. I have that figure. It is a 9 out of 10. It's got a couple of qualms that I have with it. It's not perfect. But I really did love that figure, and it makes me confident in what Inart can do next. But when you kind of retreat back like a groundhog, and then I'm like, hello? It's a little difficult. And I'm hoping that the rumors turn out to be true that this month we'll get finally a proper pre-order launch for the sophomore release, which, like I said, all signs are pointing to it being Dark Knight Rises Catwoman. But we definitely need a much broader showing of that Arkham Origins Batman, of the Devastator, of the Green Lantern, Corrupt Batman. I'm mainly thinking about the figures that have been shown already since like last year. Because the new stuff that was shown at WonderFest this past week, it's cool, but I know it's going to go back into hiding. I'm thinking predominantly more about the stuff that I saw firsthand at their San Diego event last year, almost a year and a half ago. I mean, not a year and a half, but like a year and some change. And that's the stuff that I look at and go, it's a 1/12 figure. It's not super realistic, and it's not 1/6 scale. I want to say that like 2 of these things should have been already out. Like Catwoman and Batman from Dark Knight Rises, and then maybe that Origins Batman. If those 3 figures were already released by now, I honestly think that we would still be kind of neck and neck of who will come out on top. But right now, in terms of the vibe I'm getting, the optics, so to speak, it is leaning towards LPZZ. And but at the end of the day, I would say that what I called in the past 2 months or so, that all these companies overseas are going to take major advantage of the major lull and flowers that these companies here in the States have been resting on. I'm sorry, but McFarlane, Mattel, Marvel Legends or / Hasbro, you guys got complacent. And when you get complacent, you're going to have other companies saying, oh, the hare's taking a rest, so that it's time for the tortoise to get the upper hand. And that's LPZZ, and especially when you raise those prices and it's making us go, or I could just save $20 more and get something that's legitimate premium feeling with like felt goods, realistic head sculpt like the ones from either Inart or LPZZ. Like, bro, it just speaks for itself. Like, don't get mad when your sales start to dip. If you guys want to play business, then collectors are going to play business as well. And it's finally coming to fruition. And I don't think much stronger volumes could be spoken than to have here in complete unison LPZZ/UPF and Inart both saying we're doing Absolute Batman. And then from LPZZ, we're doing more of the Arkham Knight stuff. We're doing Arkham City stuff. So now you didn't even have to call it Arkham Knight. You could just say Arkham. Because this means we're getting Origins. We saw an Origins prototype over there, so now Inart's got a competition in that space. You got Arkham City stuff. Maybe some Arkham Asylum, kind of harking it back a little bit further back. Like a Bane. Or that Batmobile. And speaking of Batmobiles, we are getting an Arkham Batmobile. It's maybe not the most preferred one, at least from my personal perspective. Preferred the Asylum over Night, but I understand why they're doing Night. And it's still good to see. I'm still not knocking it. Oh. As collectors, we're eating good, but I know that our wallets are going to be hurting. Oh, man. Any more stimulus checks coming? £500 bones? Jesus. Do you think now would be a good time to sell your Mafex figures? Well, no, because nobody's going to want them. Although it depends. Depends if it's a character that you know that... Like, for example, well, I mean, CM Brock, I think you're pretty much saying, you know, you're referring to the characters that LPZZ and Inart are going to be tackling. Because obviously I would say, oh, you could sell the Marvel stuff because LPZZ is not going to be tackling Marvel since they got the DC license. That would be a conflict. But at the same time, that's all the more reason to keep the Marvel Mafex stuff. Kevbot, did you get your Deathstroke yet? No. No, I mean, from what I can tell, the people that are getting Deathstrokes right now, in terms of like, if you're talking about like the reviews you're seeing online, from what the gist that I'm getting is that they're being received by LPZZ/UP Find Yours themselves. Like, there's some toy photographers on Instagram that posted in their comments saying, hey, I got this directly from LPZZ. It's not officially out yet. So I'm like, So there's a little bit of red tape. I haven't watched Justin's Collections video yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if any of you have seen his video yet. Can you tell me, does he say at the beginning if he got it from LPZZ? Because if he did, then there you go. Because I have a pre-order with Toys Metaverse, but it is a pre-order nonetheless. So I'm just in their eyes, I'm just a general consumer. So we haven't established that kind of connection. So I don't know if there's a way for me to hit up LPZZ directly. At the same time, I don't want to. Sometimes I get a split head on that as to whether or not it's a good thing to do to like reach out to a company and be like, hey, I would cover your figures if you guys sent me one. It's like, I don't want to come off as like I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, if they reach out to me, then sure. But at the same time, I don't know if I like, I don't know. I'm conflicted on that because on the one hand, I kind of want to do it because I've seen some other people do it and they get their stuff to cover on the channel. They get it. But then when others like me do it, where they're looked, you know, numbers speak. Let's put it that way. Numbers speak. Or sometimes you want to, you know, companies want a yes man. Let's just say that someone that was present at the McFarlane Toys event, I can tell was like buttering up the McFarlane guys. The guys that actually work for McFarlane, the PR team that was present at the San Diego Skyline event. There's a certain someone that I'm thinking of right now that I can tell as I'm walking around trying to record footage of like what was on display. This individual was over there trying to butter up the McFarlane guys to see what he can get access to. And I'm like, so, but at the same time, you know, sometimes it works for these guys. And then sometimes it also depends on what personality you are. If you're going to be, you know, saying good praises about everything, then do you really want to be that person or do you want to be honest? So yeah. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to call it there. I don't want to strain my voice too much because I do want to try to at least make one video tonight. I want to give my voice a little bit of a rest. I do have to make a little bit of a pilgrimage to one of my local supermarkets because I think I need to buy something that I'm going to need for this weekend before it's too late because, like I said, I'm not going to have time tomorrow because after taking care of some stuff here, once I leave the house, I'm leaving for the day. I'm going to be with my girlfriend on this special event down at the Honda Center, even though, like I said, I kind of maybe already know what it is. And I won't be back until like late at night, like midnight. So tomorrow is practically a sealed deal as far as plans. So that's why this thing that I need to get from the store, I kind of need to go and get it now before it gets any later. Good thing it's a 24-hour store. So, yeah. And like I said, that gives my voice some time to rest up because I do want to record a video. Well, I can take advantage of the house being by itself in the next couple of hours or so. And then finally finalize my time with the Arkham Knight games so that hopefully come Sunday, I will film that video. And then a little bit later, once I get a little comfy, I will read Batman #2. So I hope you guys enjoyed the coverage of the LPZZ/UP Find Yours / Inart stuff that was shown at WonderFest this year. I will most definitely be splicing it out to make it its own video that will go up. Shit, when should it go up? When should it go up? When should it go up? Honestly, don't know when it'll go up, but probably either Monday-ish, Tuesday. I don't know. I'll decide. But yeah, I'll splice it out, make it its own video, and yeah, we'll go from there. So let me see if I can remember. CM Bronk, thank you for joining the stream and also for the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciated. Frederick Federico, Bones, Kevbot. Whoa, what just happened? Why is chat lagging? Chat's lagging. I don't know why. Dude, what the hell? Big Rib, JM Herrera, Travels and Conversations. Also, thank you for the super chat. Travels and Conversations. Okay, wonderful. The one thing that I wanted to do, go through my chat so I can thank everybody, and I can't even do that because it's lagging. I don't know why it's lagging, but it is, guys. I'm so sorry. Conflict. Maurice Phillip. Alex. Anonymous Throne. DT Warrior. Austin C. RS. Spencer Brower. PSP. A lot of new names. That's another good thing about streaming on a different time slot is you get new names. So you're able to see what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm trying to see whether people are saying in the chat, but it's not coming up. I don't know why. So yeah, Bones, go to sleep. Go to sleep. I know it's late for you, man. I think it's like almost 5 in the morning or some shit. So go to sleep. I don't know why you're still up. But good night, Kevbot. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining this late night edition of the Dark Spider Cast. And I'll keep you guys posted when I do another one of these. But I just knew I needed to talk about this WonderFest stuff. Yeah, that about does it. Like I always say, stay humble. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.